Ooh, we are about to get into one of my strongest opinions around networking, and that is this idea of give and take, right? You, like me, have probably heard that when starting a professional relationship, you need to give before you ask for anything, right? Very good advice. In fact, not just give. People say you should provide value. You need to lead with value first. But maybe like me, this stresses you out. In fact, often, because I am a rule follower, I would hear this, that I have to lead with value, and I would look at somebody I want to meet, right? And I wouldn't be able to figure out what kind of value I could provide, and so I just wouldn't reach out at all because, oh no, I don't have any value to give them, so I am not worthy of reaching out. This is terrible. And I don't think I'm the only one who has felt the pressure of giving value first. If you're early in your career, if you're changing careers, or frankly, if you just don't know what the other person needs, you too have probably felt the pressure. Here's my thing. Give value first is way too loaded a phrase in networking. Heck, even give first is too weighted. Now, I am not saying you should be a greedy taker, okay? But today I'm going to share with you my strategy to get to know people without giving value and what to do instead. So welcome to the Creating Opportunities podcast. This is the place where we help smart, ambitious professionals create authentic relationships for success in all areas of your lives. Why? Because people matter. And I am your host, Cassandra Thompson. I am a speaker, a trainer, a coach, an iced coffee lover, and I want to help you make deeper, stronger connections. How do we do that if we're not going to lead with value? Well, let's get into it. Okay, so we're going to talk about this in two ways. One, the whole idea of give value first, that you have to do it immediately, and also just the idea of value, that everything has to be around this word value and give. It's going to feel like a drinking game by the end of this, I swear, but it's going to be worth it. And again, not going to be a greedy taker. But my biggest issue with leading with value, with that being the thing that we're all told to do, is you don't know what they need yet, okay? You don't know what this person needs. And often when we try and seek out what can I give that's valuable when I don't know needs, you end up in one of two situations. Either you do what I said before of you end up not reaching out at all, or you end up striving to find any sort of advice that you could offer up to this person, and we end up accidentally insulting them. For example, sometimes people try and connect with me on LinkedIn that I don't know, maybe they've watched my content, that's great. And instead of just saying, hey, I would love to be connected to you, or I really enjoy your content, they'll go, hey Cassandra, I've been watching your content and it seems like you could use some help with your editing. You might want to think about doing this, and that. I'm like, cool, thank you so much. I do need help with my editing, but that maybe wasn't the best way to start out a relationship. Or I was looking at the copy on your website and I really think it could be improved if you said blah, 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 blah. Well, who are you? Why should I take your opinion, etc.? So you end up, while totally well-intentioned, insulting people. Bottom line, if you don't know what the problem is of the person you're trying to reach out to, don't try and solve a problem for them. And this version of giving value goes to my second issue with the idea of value is, for some reason, we tend to see giving value as offering opinions or advice. And I'll be honest, I too have probably made this mistake in my past because, again, we're just desperate to find something to follow this rule and lead with value. And so we end up offering up our own thoughts and opinions when they don't know us yet, or we end up giving advice for something that they never asked for advice on. Don't give unsolicited advice. Seriously, think about it. If you were walking down the street and a stranger walked up to you and just was like, hey, by the way, I thought something you might want to improve on your website is blah, 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 blah. You'd be like, hi, who are you? What's your name? Why are you doing this? But people do this sort of thing over email, LinkedIn connections, Instagram, all the time. Now, there are good ways to provide value early, and we'll get to those in a second. But again, this whole idea of lead with value and offering up opinions and advice, or starting by focusing on value when you're not sure yet, ends up making you think you've created a significant contribution to this relationship when you actually have possibly damaged it. Or like I said, you didn't end up reaching out at all, so there is no relationship. So let's talk about what to do instead of giving value. So what I'm about to say is going to sound like common sense, but common sense does not mean common practice. And once you hear this, do a gut check and just be honest with yourself. Is this something you've been doing? And if not, start now. Okay, so here's where I want you to focus. Instead of giving value, I want you to focus on care. Caring for someone matters. Caring for someone matters a lot. And the nice part is it takes in giving and value, but it also encompasses a whole lot more than just those two concepts. Things like starting with a compliment, or just checking in, or thought of you today. Those are all ways to show care for another person, and none of them meant you had to offer something up in the process. This is why I say that networking is really 10% give, 10% ask, and 80% keeping in touch. It's just 80% caring for another person, whether there's, a give and take at all. Because let's be honest, when we look at networking as only give and take, and yes, it is a reciprocal relationship, and we'll get into that part in a minute, but if you're looking at networking as just I give and they take, and then I take and they get, ask and all, it's just back and forth, that is an exhausting sounding relationship. No wonder we then see networking as inauthentic and transactional. There's no care in it. So bring care into your networking. Leading with care, focusing with care in your relationships is going to take a lot of the stress off. It also is going to make you a lot less self-involved, right? Caring is thinking about another person. Even giving and giving value seem like things that are about the other person, they're also still very self-involved in terms of networking purposes, because you're often sitting there thinking, what can I give that will impress this person? What can I do for this person that they will want to pay me back in response? The law of reciprocity. Like, it's way too self-involved. Whereas if you just go into relationships going, I really like this person and I want to show them I care about them because we need a world that's more caring in general, you're thinking about them. You're not thinking about what you get in return all the time. Instead of sitting there thinking, what can I do? What can I give? You're thinking, I wonder how so-and-so's doing. Or specifically, I've done things like, I really liked this person's book and I'm gonna let them know. Easy. Or even things that are giving value, like saying, hey, I saw this article that I think you might like, or just coming from a place of, hey, I thought of you and thought you might enjoy this, instead of, wow, I hope they see that I provided value, or wow, I hope they see the value in the thing that I shared and they think of me because of it. So again, care instead of value is just thinking about the other person. And yes, that contains things that would be under the category of giving or giving value. But I think just reframing it in this way opens it up so much more and takes the pressure off. So there's a lot of things that can go in this category. Yes, it can be things like giving them help once you know what they need, or recommendations or introductions to people. But it also is things like giving a compliment, saying thank you for something, showing gratitude, or just checking in, or I saw this today and thought of you. That's one of my favorites, right? They're asking for nothing in response when you do that. Or like, you're asking for nothing in response when you do that. You're just saying, hey, I thought of you today. And who doesn't want to be thought of? And if you can tie it to a specific, like, let's say when you met with the person, they said that they love peach gummy rings. Okay, I don't know, I'm making up something weird. But like, they love peach gummy rings. And you're at the store and you're at Home Goods and they have a whole display of peach gummy rings right by the front. I would take a picture of those and say, hey, saw these and thought of you. If you need to stock up, Home Goods has you covered, right? Little silly things like that are great ways to build a relationship by just showing, I'm caring about you. I'm thinking of you. Not, hi, I'm putting all this weight on this relationship that I hope I provided value to you so you will do the same for me. But here's the thing, leading with care means you can also go into that first introduction or that first meeting and not know how you're gonna help at all. It means you can send an email or a LinkedIn request to someone saying, hi, I'm really impressed by your career, and as I'm looking to make a career change into your industry, I'd love to learn more about what you do. Could we please connect? Flattery goes far, y'all. And then once you meet, you've gotten to know them and you can find ways to care personally for them and give value. And then the second part that's really helpful about focusing on care instead of value is that often, once you have given someone value, like you have found that thing that you go, hey, when we met for coffee, you said you were looking for solutions to this problem at work. Well, I found these 3 articles that might be of help. Hope these help you out. You send those articles to them. Now we're stuck in the conundrum again of like, well, crap, now I don't know how else to help and give, etc. But that's why we don't focus there. We focus on caring. And so after that box has been checked, what do? Well, you keep caring. You follow up. You check in. Again, you say, hey, thought of you today. That is a lot easier than, again, this tit for tat, gotta go back and forth on the give and take, or Gary V's jab, 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 right hook. Great in theory, okay? But not all jabs have to be value, value, value. Now, hopefully at this point, you are breathing a sigh of relief thinking, okay, I can do this. This really takes a lot of the pressure off. But I have to tell you a stat that's sort of shocking. We spend 95% of our time thinking about ourselves. Crazy, right? And when you think about that other 5% is also being taken up by your family, your friends, right? And they're being cared for. There's very little time to be thinking about your network. This is also the other reason why networking tends to fall apart for people. So we need to start thinking about other people more than just 5% of our time. And to do that, there are 2 tips I have for you. On the tactical side, start blocking time in your calendar to care for people, to check in on your network, to make new connections, to follow up with people from your past, right? There's nothing inauthentic about doing this. I think because it's intentional, people think it's not authentic, but think about it. Married couples still have date nights because they know they have to work on their relationship. They know that it's good to say, we're gonna block off this intentional time to work on us. So you should do the exact same thing with your professional relationships. I don't care if it's 30 minutes or 15 minutes a day or 2 hours on Friday, but block time to care about your professional relationships and we can get past that 5%. And then second thing, stop thinking of them as your network and start thinking of them as friends. Granted, they're not all gonna be your best friend, right? I have certain friends that are like my sushi buddy or the person that I go on walks with, and other people who are my deep conversation friends, right? Certain friends that you see once a year and certain friends that you see every week. Same thing with your professional relationships. Sometimes people love to tell me at this point, I don't need more friends. I understand you might not need new best friends, but why don't we want to just be caring people that bring more people into our circles? You get to choose how strong they get to become in that circle, but start thinking of them as friends instead of your professional network that can get you somewhere, and it's gonna make this a lot easier to care for them. And also, this always goes to my thing that if it's somebody you don't like, I don't care if you think they are the gatekeeper to your dream job or your dream client. If you don't like them, I wouldn't be spending time on them. And then when you get into your care time on your calendar, make it your mission to make that person's day. You know, I fully believe in treat people the way you want to be treated. We're not even going to get in the platinum rule. If you've heard treat people the way they want to be treated, again, that goes to we are going to get into it. That goes to the beginning of this conversation. You're assuming I know how they want to be treated. So the best you can do in the beginning is treat people the way you'd want to be treated. And the key to moving past that 5% of thinking about others is to do it even when you don't feel like it. And to make care easy, don't overthink it, right? Even recognition is going to go far. So not everything has to be super weighty, high value ads, etc. It can just be thought of you today, or tried that drink at Starbucks that you recommended, or caring on the personal side counts too. So that's the other thing to remember. If you know that that person you work with, that their family member is going through cancer, you might want to just say, hey, how's your mom doing? Or, hey, I just want you to know, we don't have to talk about it if you don't want, but I want you to know that I'm really thinking about you and what you're going through. It can be the personal side too. So don't overthink this process. That's why I like care over value or give. Care is a lot easier to do. And going back to that recognition piece, whether it's recognizing something that they've done that's often overlooked or recognizing them for their podcast that's amazing and is already super popular, sending recognition to somebody is a great way to show care. because we're actually motivated by recognition, and so it's a great place to lead from. And finally, I do want to come all the way back to the beginning of this episode where I said I didn't know the value I could bring. I didn't know if I had any value. You might feel that way too. I want you to know you do have value. Everyone has something that they can contribute to help other people. You're just maybe not going to know it before you have a conversation. So don't be afraid to ask what they need. And you might not see it immediately, but as you start caring for people and meeting their needs, the value that you bring, the help that you bring is going to start rising to the surface, that you'll start seeing, oh, these are things I'm good at doing that I can offer to others. And if you want another episode dedicated solely to how to find your value and use it in the service of others, please let me know in the comments and we can do that. Now, of course, these relationships are hopefully reciprocal. I do not want you like caring and caring and caring about someone that never gives you any care, any help, etc. back. But just like every relationship, the give and take is never going to be even. And so just keep that in mind, but we don't want something that's all give and no take, etc. So hopefully it's reciprocal, but maybe you are like me and many of us, and you have a hard time when you actually do need to make an ask. Maybe you have been caring and caring and caring, and you know you should make an ask, but you just aren't quite sure how, or you feel uncomfortable about it. Well, I have a whole other episode for you. It is right here. It'll be in the show notes, and go check that one out so that you know and can feel comfortable when and if you need to make an ask of somebody. Until next time, keep creating more opportunities that lead to deeper relationships. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.